What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Orozco Body and Mind podcast. I'm your host, Chris Orozco. We are at the end of March, and I can't believe we're about to start April. 2026 is going by extremely fast. And, now that we're about to start the fourth month, I hope you've been staying consistent in your habits, with your motivation, with doing everything the right way. I hope you've been able to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And now that we're settled in 2026, it's important to keep the momentum up. It's important to continue to keep working on ourselves, continue to learn new things, continue to get out of our comfort zone, continue to create goals, change our habits. Hopefully 2026 has been a really good year for you guys. For me, this week was a really tough week. In the past, I've talked about, that my mom has dealt with mental health issues, and this week she had to be in a hospital, unfortunately. But it brings up something that is very important, and it's kind of hard to talk about a little bit, but I'm going to try my best. When somebody in our family is struggling with some type of issue, right, whether it's with mental health, with their habits, with something that they're struggling with, right, we have to continue to keep doing the work ourselves. We have to continue to show up for ourselves. And it's hard because we love that person and we want them to feel good and we want them to do things the right way. But you can't just dive all in, and now you're messing up your mental health. You're causing stress for yourself. You have to continue to keep going, continue your journey. And I'm not saying not to help them. I'm not saying not to show them some love. Obviously, it's very important to do that. But kind of, continue to keep taking steps forward. Um, it's not easy because my mom is somebody who I grew up with, and she has brought a lot of difficulty in my life. But at the end of the day, she's my mother. She's somebody who I would say we're exact opposites. And her whole life, she never changed. She never worked and wanted to be somebody different. She always looked at life like, I'm this way, I'm stuck in my ways, and I'm going to continue to be like this. And if you're somebody like that you don't want to change, you don't want to improve yourself, you're really holding back your potential. You're really holding back your everything. You should want to work on yourself, not only for yourself, that's the number one thing, but for the people around you, for the people that care for you, for the people that want to see you do well, your family members, your everyone. You should want to do things and change for yourself. My mom is somebody who I would tell her certain things. Hey, mom, I think you should, maybe get out of your comfort zone a little bit, maybe try a new job, maybe, try new food, or, maybe you should do things this way. And she was very closed off in how she did things. And I think growing up, seeing a lot of those things develop in my house made me want to act differently, because we can grow up with somebody who, has a certain mentality, and we can copy that mentality. We can say, oh, my dad is like this, my mom is like this, I think I should do the same thing. But then, somebody like myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, wanted to do the exact opposite of what their parents were doing, or what my mom was doing. Because I saw my mom struggling in certain areas, and she was so closed off to learning new things, to growing, to evolving herself. I kind of wanted to do things a little bit different. I kind of wanted to try new things. She didn't want to try things. I wanted to try things. I saw her struggling with her mentality and just how she viewed people, how she viewed the world. And I wanted to be completely different. So it's important if we have this, people like this in our life and we're close to them, what things can we learn from them? And if they're struggling in certain areas, then we could try to do the opposite. Our parents obviously have a huge influence on us. And, obviously it's important to love our parents. They brought us to this earth, but we should always try to, what can we learn from our parents so we can go into the next phase of life, um, and not copy certain things that they did. Because if we do copy a lot of the things our parents did, then we're not running our own race. At the end of the day, it's our life, right? Our parents could have helped us grow up. They could have helped us. They could have tell us things. But at the end of the day, it's our life. We have to make decisions because we care. When I was growing up, I saw a lot of kids my age make decisions in their life because of that whatever their parents told them to do. And we have to continue to do things, our way. We have to continue. I'm not saying your parents aren't there to support you and guide you, but there comes to a certain age we have to make decisions for ourselves. And like I said before, it's important to see what our parents did wrong and try to change the way we go about things, because it's just necessary, and continue to evolve. Our parents want the best for us. What parent doesn't want to see their child do great things in this world, right? What parent doesn't want to see their child thrive and win and do things the right way and evolve? But it's important to, whatever mistake our parents did, it's important to learn from it and to do things a little bit different. So it's been really a struggle this week. My mom has been hospitalized. It's not the first time it's happened, but she has this mentality, like I said before, of it's her way or no way. And it's not a good mentality to have. It's not a good mentality to continue to develop through life. She's 61 years old, and she's lived with a lot of a scarcity mindset, really scared of things. She doesn't like to work on herself, doesn't like to learn new things. And it's really sad because she has a lot of potential if she just change her mindset, change her way of thinking. That's also the thing. We as people have a certain way of thinking, and we have certain patterns in our thinking that maybe we didn't know we had, but it's year after year, day after day, week after week, it's with the same thinking patterns, and we don't realize we're thinking a certain way. So that's why it's important to meditate and sit with your own self in your own thoughts and just observe how your mind is thinking. For example, when I went to Costa Rica on a retreat, the retreat was so good for a lot of different ways. But one of the gifts that I was able to get one of the gifts I was able to get from the retreat was I was able to really observe certain patterns that my mind had been going on for years. And I learned a lot about, how my mind was thinking. I learned a lot how I viewed the world. And we can do that by where we are right now, by just sitting in meditation, observing our thoughts, and just not judging them, not getting critical, just sitting down and just observing how you're thinking. Sit in a quiet room, observe your thoughts, and slowly, we could start doing something about it. For me, I have my thinking was about, I was always judging people my whole life. I learned this actually from my parents. My parents were, they judged people a lot. whether they were in the car and they would be driving, they'd be like, well, this guy shouldn't drive this way, or blah, blah, blah. Or like if somebody looked a certain way, they would judge. And as a kid, I learned a lot of those judgments and how that kind of thinking. And I didn't know it was ingrained in me until, now that I'm 32 years old, I was able to see, and this just happened maybe 5, 6 months ago. I was able to see certain thoughts, and I'm like, why am I judging? Why I shouldn't judge anyone for how they look, what they do, what they think. And it's affected me a lot because my public speaking has really uh taken a back. It hasn't been that well because I have fear now of that other people are judging me because that's the way I'm thinking. And that's not how it should be. That fear of judgment, it's like a mirror, right? So if we're judging other people, then you think they judge you. And not everybody's like that. So there's like a mirror that we reflect with each other. So we have certain thinking patterns that have been ingrained in our minds forever. Since we were little, we've learned certain things. And now that we're older, it's important to hold accountability for our own life and do things the right way, our own thinking patterns, our own thinking process. It's important to go into that and observe yourself, meditate on it, work on certain things that you're not comfortable with, like not running away from it, but actually observing what can you fix. Excuse me. What can you fix? What can we fix in our lives to help us improve a tiny little bit? I always talk about 1% better every single day. Do something every day that's going to help you improve your life just a little bit. It could be whether it's like, I'm going to clean up for 5 minutes, I'm going to eat one healthy meal, I'm going to study for a certain class, like just doing one little step. It's about establishing the small little habits. And then eventually, after you do that for a while, you're actually becoming somebody different. And you slowly start to slowly turn your life around, slowly start gaining confidence in yourself, start gaining self-esteem. And I'm only telling you this because I've actually gone through it. Like I said before, I was somebody who was overweight. When I was depressed, I was eating unhealthy, I was drinking, I was smoking, I was into, certain things that weren't bringing me happiness. And I was able to slowly turn my life around. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm not saying I'm where I want to be, but I've gained some wisdom along the journey because I've been able to do things the right way. I've been able to stay more disciplined, stay connected with my true self. I've had a lot of time to meditate. I've had a lot of time to learn new things. And I wasn't like that my whole life. I slowly started to build the small little habits. I started to change my way of thinking a little bit. I started being open-minded. It's important to be open-minded. And, slowly we start making changes that could really be beneficial, not only for ourselves, but for the people around us. People will start asking, oh, this guy or this woman is thinking, looks differently. What are they doing? Maybe getting inspired by something you say to them. We want to also help a lot of people in the way, right? We want to be able to make a difference not only in our lives, but I also believe that it's important to make a difference in other people's lives. And if it's not with money, then it's just with a compliment. It's with something you say about somebody. So it's important to really do those things, and eventually we'll be able to make the right changes, make goals, create a better lifestyle. And, at the end of the day, it's important to do that. And it's important to build our life from the ground up. So, this podcast is really to Orozco Body and Mind. It's a personal growth brand to really inspire the people around you to create goals, to create better habits, to create discipline, confidence, so we're able to, be the best versions of ourselves and find purpose in our life. It's crucial to just keep going. Life gets hard, and there's ups, there's downs. When there's downs, you got to continue to make progress. You got to continue to improve, and it's that's what it's about. Don't make it any difficult than what it already is. Life is already difficult enough. If we're making life and we're causing self-inflicted wounds on ourselves by having bad habits, by doing things, not making the right decisions, by making mistakes, we're already making life so much more difficult than it already is. It's important to do things. It's important to do things the right way. It's important to just build a well-rounded life, to improve, to learn, to grow, to find purpose, to have the right values, to inspire those around us, to inspire yourself, and just be the best version of yourself every single day. And if you're somebody who's struggling right now, if you're somebody who doesn't seem like they have purpose, or you're struggling with certain habits, know that if you do 1%, get 1% better every single day, and you keep continuing to put your head down and just work on yourself and just learn, and eventually it's like a snowball. You start making changes, and you'll be really happy with the life you'll be able to build down the line. But just have patience, have some self-love, and things will eventually improve. Things will get better, and we'll get to live a beautiful, beautiful life. So, thank you guys for listening. I really, like I said, it's been a really rough week for me, but I have to continue to show up, not only for myself, but for the people that care for me, and eventually things will get better. Life is never, just always high. There's going to be low times, but it's important to continue to, work on ourselves and continue to develop great things in our life, because we're all, like I said, if you put in the work, if you put in the habits, if you put in the discipline, things will eventually turn around and get better. So I wish you guys a great week. I wish you guys nothing but the best. Continue to show up for yourself. Continue to work on yourself. Continue to build the necessary habits, healthy habits. Continue to, eat healthy, learn more, take the necessary steps to build an amazing, amazing life, that one day when you're 80 years old, 90 years old, maybe 100 years old, you're able to look back and say, you're proud of yourself for doing things the right way. So thank you guys. Hope I gave you some inspiration, some motivation. I'll be back next week, and take care of yourselves. Continue to be great, great human beings. Take care. Have a good one.